Hello Mech Warriors, and welcome back to the Mech Lab. Today we'll be looking at some more vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, but these are VTOLs designed by the clans. Since there aren't many clan VTOLs to begin with, we'll be covering the best ones from every era. And we're starting off with a late edition, mainly a late Republic era VTOL, the Cardinal Transport. This is an extremely well-armored VTOL, coming in at 50 tons, allows it to carry a lot of armor, 31 on the front and 21 everywhere else, and with 5 internal structure on the rotor, it's able to take some serious punishment even from the bane of VTOLs, LBX or Silver Bullet Gauss, and it is equipped with an LBX itself, an LB2X autocannon. I would definitely be putting Cluster into here for the chance at an extra shot and the -1 to hit, as well as the bonus to hit other flyers, which would make this overall a pretty good unit for taking out enemy VTOLs. It has that 812 VTOL movement, pretty much baseline for any VTOL, and comes equipped with a pretty good arsenal overall. The 2 AP Gauss rifles are great close range fire, and the LB2X and LRM-5 can both poke at long range. With 10 tons of troop capacity and only 641 battle value cost, the Cardinal is extremely cheap and very flexible. Making an already excellent design better can sometimes be pretty difficult, but the Cardinal RAF transport definitely accomplishes it. It gives up some of its long-range firepower in order to mount 3 small pulse lasers and an MML-5. This means that it's no longer going to be good as a skirmisher fighting at longer ranges, but it can carry some pretty cool utility ammo such as Infernos, and 3 small pulse lasers is an absolutely brutal close-range complement. Very accurate, excellent at taking out infantry, and a definite increase in damage compared to the old weapon complement. In addition, we have 12 tons of troop capacity, which is not really that significant, but it does mean that you can carry a lot of platoons or some jump infantry in addition to 2 units of battle armor, which is pretty impressive. Next we have the Anhur, which is another transport. We'll start off with the baseline model. Again, 812 movement, not nearly as well armored as our previous entry, but boasting a lot more firepower. We have an ER medium laser and 2 medium pulse lasers, one of which is rear mounted, which is kind of interesting. This allows a unit to fire at something behind it. Maybe it flies past an enemy unit and wants to hit it with the medium pulse laser on the way by. That's something that this can definitely accomplish. Then there's the battle armor version with ECM to protect itself and 10 tons of troop capacity, allowing it to carry 2 units of elementals, which is pretty incredible. As a transport, the Anhur BA is definitely better, and it also mounts more weapons on the back, making that firing behind it maneuver maybe a little bit more viable, although I definitely prefer pulse lasers to AP Gauss and ER medium lasers. And finally, we have the most combat-focused unit, the Stealth Anhur. This has the ability to carry a unit of elementals as well, and has vehicular stealth armor, so even though it's slightly less armored overall, only 12 on the front and sides and 10 on the rear versus 15 on the front, 14 on the sides and 12 on the rear, the Stealth Anhur fulfills a different role. It's able to drop off a unit of battle armor, take some fire from enemies, and then retreat to fire its twin LRM-15s. Now, this unit only has 4 rounds of fire for the weapons, which does make it a little bit suspect as a take, but you can just use it as a very effective spotter. VTOLs being able to fly very high in the air, this unit can dump all of its ammo and then fly super high up and avoid any intervening woods or one-high hills, anything like that, that would impede its ability to spot. Now, you do pay a significant amount of battle value for this, 930, but if you use this properly, I think that this unit can be pretty decent. At any rate, it's very hard to kill with vehicular stealth armor and 812 movement. Next up, we have the Balac, which is very much not a transport unit. Don't pay attention to this half-ton of cargo space on the LRM variant. The Balac has pretty weak armor. The rear armor is only 7. 15 on the front and 12 on the sides, though, is pretty decent. And what this unit really brings to the table is speed. 1015 or 1117, depending on the variant. Let's look at the OG first. We have an ER medium laser and 2 ATM-6. This is a deadly complement of weaponry. 4 tons of ammo, meaning that you can fire all day with this thing. I would probably take at least 2 tons of high explosive, use that extremely high movement to keep that 4 TMM up, and keep yourself relatively safe. Now, this unit is very expensive. 1271 battle value is no joke. That's like Inner Sphere medium prices, but the hybrid version at 796 is much more affordable. Still has the twin ATM-6, which is the main armament anyways, mounting a heavy machine gun as its third weapon instead of the ER medium laser, reduces the battle value very significantly, and only carries 2 tons of ammo, so it can't make full use of the ATM's flexibility, but with something this fast, you probably just want standard and high explosive anyways. Now, a max of 10 rounds of fire is problematic, but for something that's pretty overall squishy, that's not the biggest problem. This is probably my favorite variant just because it is so cheap. Then we have the super speedy budget version, the Spotter. Instead of the ER medium laser, we have a tag, and we also have a lot less ammo. This is backed up by an ECM and an active probe, meaning that this is a really great scout unit. Very fast, has all of the electronic equipment that you could ever want, and still has 10 rounds of fire with its ATMs. And then once it runs out of ammo, it has a tag to guide in LRM fire, which is pretty nice. An alternative to the very fast, very expensive base model is the Balac LRM. We have twin LRM 15s, great damage at every range, only 8 rounds of fire, even lighter on ammo than any of the other variants, and having an ER medium laser to back up that LRM fire. Honestly, this is too expensive, I probably wouldn't use it. Speaking of speedy boys, we have the Gossamer VTOL. I am a big fan of the Gossamer. 3 medium pulse lasers on an 1117 VTOL is an absolutely brutal machine. We've got 23 armor on the front, 16 on the sides, and 10 on the rear. It can take a hit anywhere pretty well, and its high base movement means that it's going to be pretty hard to immobilize it. This is an absolutely brutal unit. 1100 battle value is a little pricey, but definitely worth it in my opinion. Then we've got the crit-seeking boy on a budget, 663 battle value for the XL version of the Gossamer. I would definitely take cluster ammo in this LB-10X autocannon. Running one of each of these together would actually not be a bad idea. You get the medium pulse lasers punch up in the rear armor, and then the LB-10X cluster shot follows up. I love a VTOL that can maintain a very high speed with decent armor. Next up, we have the Donar assault helicopter, another very reasonably armored unit with decent movement. 914 is a little slower than some of the others that we've seen, but this unit's claim to fame is its ER large laser. This is a deadly weapon that can be fired at long range, allowing this unit to use its good movement to maintain a high TMM and snipe from a distance. We do have 2 Streak SRM-2s to back up this at close range, so you can get a little bit of crit seeking in with this, using its high speed to get in close and find some juicy components. But I think my favorite variant of this is probably the Recon variant. We have 808 battle value, about 100 less than the regular assault helicopter, and we have traded out the SRM-2s for a tag, active probe, and ECM, so this makes a really great scout unit. Able to guide in LRM fire, able to snipe at long range with that ER large laser. And then we have the super budget version. We have 582 battle value for the Donar close support helicopter. 2 heavy medium lasers and a light tag mean that this can perform largely the same role as the Donar Recon, except that it cannot snipe at long range. This thing wants to get in nice and close and guide in LRM fire while punching open holes with the heavy medium lasers. Using that low battle value, you can invest into the gunnery on this thing to offset the penalty that the medium lasers take. The improved one-shot streaks are kind of a huge boon. I'd probably rather just have regular Streak SRM-2s, but there's actually not tonnage for that in this unit. But improved streaks are great because they always either don't fire or hit their target. So you're guaranteed to get damage out of these as long as you roll a successful hit at some point in the match. Okay, it's time to look at an extremely premium VTOL. This is very expensive in every iteration. The Onuris comes with reflective armor and a VTOL jet booster, which essentially acts like a supercharger for VTOLs. It allows it to move double its movement speed. The reflective armor makes this unit extremely resilient against pulse lasers, which is really great because that's one of the main counters to VTOLs. It doesn't help against flak weapons, but that is totally fine. First up, we have the Prime version. So 4 SRM-6s with plenty of ammo and a plasma cannon. So this unit, I think, probably wants to take at least 1 ton of Infernos so that it can really lay on the heat using that plasma cannon plus SRM Inferno ammo. And I can see this being a pretty decent control unit, able to lay down big heat, turn over turn, and be very hard to take down because of its great armor. Just controlling enemy units, making sure that they either can't fire their weapons weapons, or really especially controlling like a TSM unit, making sure that they are completely unable to use their TSM reliably without shutting themselves down. But at 1550 battle value, are you really going to win with having such an expensive unit just controlling enemies through heat? I don't think so. The Onuris Prime, probably not the best variant. Let's look at an even more expensive one. The A variant carries an ERPPC and 4 AP Gauss rifles. This is pretty deadly. Great crit seeking at close range, great hole punching at long range. This is a VTOL that definitely serves a really good purpose. It can snipe at long range after it has been sufficiently damaged, but in the early game it can fly in real fast, use those AP Gauss rifles to shred a little bit of extra enemy armor, maybe search for some head hits. ERPPCs end up being extremely expensive in battle value just because of head cap attacks and all that kind of stuff, but this is definitely one of the better versions of this. Then we have the B variant, which just straight up goes for being an LRM boat. We've got 12 rounds of fire for each of the LRM 20s, and this can just lay down big LRM damage at long range. But it comes with an exorbitant price tag. Nearly 1750 is too much battle value to pay, so the Onuris B I think is pretty weak overall. Then we've got the C variant, which is super interesting. I love the C variant. Very cheap, 1131 battle value, and an LB-20X autocannon. This is like a Saladin on crack. It's faster with the jet booster, has much better armor overall, is very resilient to pulse lasers, and has that excellent cluster ammo that it can use to crit seek enemies. The Onuris is going to be relatively cheap and super hard for your enemy to deal with. I think this is probably the best variant, and following it up is the D variant, which just goes for extreme close range punch. We have improved heavy medium lasers, 10 damage each, and then a bunch of medium chemical lasers, which carries way too much ammo for them, but that's not that big of a deal. It's a little more expensive. We've got 1350 battle value here versus 1131, but the sheer disgusting damage output that this thing has is very impressive. Finally, we have the E variant. This one, again, I don't like it that much. The large pulse laser is an incredibly good weapon, especially on a fast-moving VTOL, and the ATM-9 is very deadly. That's going to do a lot of damage if you can get that high explosive ammo into range, but 1676 battle value is a little bit too pricey. Now keep in mind that in addition to all the VTOLs that I've already gone over, clans also have access to a lot of great inner sphere vehicles. I think they get the Nightshade, for example. So make sure that you subscribe and leave a like so that you can see when I'm coming out with the next inner sphere VTOL video, which will cover some of the excellent VTOLs that the clans also have access to. There's a couple of other clan VTOLs that I didn't touch on. I just don't think that they're particularly worth taking. They're either too expensive or don't really fulfill a role. But if you disagree, make sure you let me know in the comments. Let me know the great clan VTOLs that I missed. Thank you so much for watching, Mech Warriors, and have a great day.